They ignored the ban on humans, until one video shut them up. The stars shone brightly against the dark emptiness of space as the Thalasian ship glided silently through the void. Inside the sleek vessel, Ambassador Zoreth stood before the large viewing screen, his six-fingered hands clasped behind his back. His pale green skin reflected the blue light of nearby Earth, a planet his people had observed from afar for decades. "Status report," Zoreth requested, his voice calm and measured. A junior officer approached with a data pad. "The humans continue to expand their presence throughout their solar system, Ambassador. They've established new outposts on Mars and have increased activity on Europa." Zoreth nodded, unsurprised. Humans were nothing if not persistent. "And our monitoring stations?" "All functioning at optimal capacity. The humans remain unaware of our presence." This was good news. The Galactic Council had long ago decided that humanity was too unpredictable, too violent to join their interstellar community. While never formally documented in Council records, the agreement among all member species was clear: avoid contact with the bipeds of Sol 3 at all costs. "Prepare my report for the Council," Zoreth said. "Include the usual recommendation that we maintain our distance." As the junior officer left, Zoreth allowed himself a small sigh. Sometimes he wondered if the Council's approach was the right one. After all, it had been nearly a century since they began observing Earth, and in that time humans had made remarkable progress. But then he would remember the historical simulations, the wars, the environmental destruction, the endless conflicts that seemed to define human history. No, the Council was right. Humanity was not ready. Captain Lena Howard sat at her desk in the Earth Diplomatic Corps headquarters, frustration evident in her tired eyes. For the 5th time that month, an unidentified signal had been detected at the edge of their solar system, only to disappear before contact could be established. "They're out there," she muttered to herself, reviewing the data once again, "and they're deliberately avoiding us." A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Ben Collins, her assistant, entered with a fresh cup of coffee. "You look like you need this," he said, placing the steaming mug on her desk. Lena smiled gratefully. "Thanks, Ben. Any news from the Jupiter monitoring station?" Ben handed her a tablet. "Another signal, same pattern as before. Whatever it is, it's not natural." Lena scrolled through the report, her excitement growing. The signal had lasted longer this time, nearly 3 minutes, long enough to confirm it wasn't a glitch or natural phenomenon. "We need to inform the Secretary General," she said, standing up. "This is the proof we've been looking for." Ben looked skeptical. "Proof of what exactly? That something is out there? We've known that for years. What we need is actual contact." Lena grabbed her jacket. "Maybe it's time we stopped waiting for them to contact us. Maybe it's time we forced the issue." In the crystalline chambers of the Galactic Council, representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations gathered for their monthly assembly. The grand hall sparkled as light reflected off its transparent walls, creating rainbows that danced across the faces of the diverse beings seated in a perfect circle. Elder Kylxa of the Vosiri Collective, the oldest member present, called the meeting to order. Her wrinkled blue skin hung loosely from her small frame, but her voice remained strong and clear. "The first item on our agenda concerns the Sol system," she announced. "Ambassador Zoreth will present his report." Zoreth rose gracefully and moved to the center of the circle. A holographic display activated, showing images of Earth and its neighboring planets. "The humans continue their expansion within their solar system," he began. "Their technology advances at the expected rate. They have not yet discovered faster than light travel, though several of their theoretical physicists are approaching concepts that may lead them in that direction." A representative from the Insectoid Xerxes Federation raised a limb. "And what of their broadcasts? They continue to send messages into space. Some of my scientists believe they are becoming suspicious of our presence." Zoreth nodded. "Yes, their attempts at contact have become more sophisticated. However, our cloaking technologies remain effective. They have detected our presence occasionally, but have been unable to confirm it. And your recommendation? Elder Kylexa asked. The same as it has been for the past 50 years. Zorith replied. We continue to observe, but we do not engage. The humans are still too volatile, too unpredictable for formal contact. Most of the council members nodded in agreement. This was the safe approach, the one they had followed for generations. Only one representative seemed troubled, Nara of the Navari, a relatively young member of the council. With respect, she said, her melodic voice carrying across the chamber. Some of my people question this policy. We have observed humans for nearly a century. In that time, they have made great strides in social development. Their wars have decreased in frequency. They have begun serious efforts to repair environmental damage. Should we not reconsider? A murmur ran through the assembly. It was not the first time such questions had been raised, but they were always dismissed. Elder Kylexa fixed Nara with a patient look. Your concern is noted, Representative Nara. However, our decision is based on extensive behavioral analysis. Humans remain fundamentally unpredictable. Their capacity for violence, not just toward other species but toward each other, remains troubling. The matter is settled, Zorith added firmly. We continue monitoring from a distance. Nothing more. The discussion moved on to other matters, but Nara remained quiet, her doubts unresolved. On the outer edge of the Sol system, a small Navari science vessel hovered near Pluto. Inside, junior engineer Paxton Reeves adjusted his instruments, fascinated by the signals coming from the inner planets. These patterns are definitely artificial, he muttered to himself. There's communication happening here. His superior, Commander Eltrix, floated into the room. Reeves, what are you doing? You should be analyzing Pluto's composition, not listening to background noise. Paxton quickly switched his screen to show geological data. Just checking something, Commander. I thought I detected an anomaly. Eltrix narrowed her large almond-shaped eyes. Remember your assignment, junior engineer. We are here to study the outer planets, nothing more. The inner system is off limits. Of course, Commander, Paxton replied, keeping his expression neutral. But as soon as Eltrix left, he switched back to the communication signals. Something about the humans fascinated him. The official reports described them as dangerous and unpredictable, but the messages he intercepted told a different story. Yes, there was conflict in their communications, but there was also music, art, expressions of love and hope. When the ship's computer announced they would soon move to study Jupiter's moons, Paxton made a decision. He would volunteer for the solo mission to Europa. Official policy or not, he wanted to see these humans for himself. Little did he know that his curiosity would soon change the course of galactic history forever. They ignored the ban on humans until one video shut them up. The small Navari shuttle hummed quietly as Paxton guided it toward Europa. Jupiter's massive form filled half the view screen, its swirling storms and bands creating a breathtaking backdrop. But Paxton's attention was fixed on the icy moon ahead, where human signals originated. Maintain course to designated research coordinates, he reported back to the main ship. Commander Eltrix would expect regular updates, and Paxton needed to buy himself time for his real mission. Confirmed, junior engineer, came the reply. Complete your scans and return within 12 hours. Paxton smiled to himself. 12 hours was more than enough time. He had studied human language patterns for months in secret, analyzing their transmissions until he could understand basic English. Now he would finally see these creatures up close. As Europa grew larger in his view screen, Paxton detected artificial structures on its surface, the human outpost. His instruments showed 23 life forms inside. His heart beat faster as he guided his shuttle to land 2 kilometers away, out of their immediate detection range. Paxton checked his environmental suit one final time. The atmosphere would be toxic to his Navari physiology, and Europa's surface. Temperatures would freeze him solid in minutes without protection. Satisfied with the seals, he exited his craft and began the careful trek across the icy terrain. Inside Europa Station, Chief Scientist Grace Miller reviewed the latest data from their deep ice probes. The search for microbial life in Europa's subsurface ocean had yielded promising results, and her team worked with quiet excitement. "Grace, we've got something on the perimeter sensors," called out Sam Peterson, the station's chief engineer. His eyes were fixed on a monitor showing the icy landscape outside. Grace moved to his side. "Meteorite?" Sam shook his head. "Movement is too regular, and there's a heat signature." He pointed to a blinking dot on the screen. "Something's out there. Something moving deliberately." "Wildlife on Europa? That would be a first," Grace said with a small smile. But her humor masked concern. Nothing should be moving on Europa's surface except their own people, and all team members were accounted for. "Should we alert Earth Command?" asked Olivia Winters, the communications specialist. Grace considered for a moment. "Not yet. Let's find out what we're dealing with first." She turned to Sam. "Prep a rover. We'll go check it out." Paxton froze as he spotted a vehicle emerging from the human station. He'd been detected sooner than expected. For a moment, he considered retreating to his shuttle, but curiosity overwhelmed caution. This was his chance. The first documented close contact between Navari and humans in history. The vehicle approached slowly. Through its transparent front section, Paxton could see two figures inside. They looked remarkably similar to Navari, though their skin appeared much less green and they had strange fur on parts of their heads. Paxton raised his hands slowly, a gesture he had observed in human transmissions that seemed to indicate peaceful intentions. The vehicle stopped 30 meters away. After a brief pause, its side opened and one of the humans emerged, wearing a protective suit not unlike his own. Grace stared in amazement at the clearly non-human figure standing before them. It was humanoid, with 2 arms and 2 legs, but its skin was pale green with subtle patterns across its surface. Its eyes were larger than human eyes and slightly angled, with no visible pupils, just solid amber orbs that seemed to glow faintly. "First contact," she whispered to herself, hardly believing the words. Humans had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now she had her answer, standing just 30 meters away on the icy surface of Europa. Grace raised her hands mirroring the being's gesture. Then, moving slowly to avoid any threatening appearance, she approached. Sam remained by the rover, ready with the emergency protocols if needed. As she came within 10 meters, the being spoke, or rather, a mechanical voice emerged from a device on its suit. "I am Paxton Reeves of the Navari Science Fleet," it said, in slightly stilted English. "I come with peace." Grace felt a chill that had nothing to do with Europa's frigid environment. The alien not only existed, it spoke English and had a translator ready. This was no random encounter. They had been watching. "I am Grace Miller," she replied carefully. "Chief Scientist of Europa Station, how do you know our language?" The alien, Paxton, seemed to hesitate before answering. "We have been studying your transmissions for some time." Grace processed this information. "And is this the first contact your people have made with humans?" "Official contact?" "Yes," Paxton replied. "Though we have observed from distance, many years." "Why now?" Grace asked. "Why me?" Paxton's large eyes blinked slowly. "Curiosity. Personal. Choice. Not official mission." Grace understood the implication immediately. "You're not supposed to be talking to me, are you?" "No," Paxton admitted. "My people, all space peoples, have agreement. Watch humans. Do not contact." The revelation hit Grace like a physical blow. Not only were they not alone in the universe, but multiple alien civilizations had been watching humanity, deliberately avoiding contact. It explained so much: the strange signals that disappeared, the occasional sightings that were dismissed as imagination. "Why?" she asked, struggling to keep her voice even. "Why avoid us?" Paxton seemed uncomfortable. "Council decision. Humans, considered unpredictable, dangerous." "Dangerous," Grace repeated, incredulous. We haven't even left our solar system yet. Not technology danger, Paxton clarified. Nature danger. History shows much conflict, violence, council fears. Before Grace could respond, Sam's voice came urgently through her comm system. Grace, we've got incoming. Large craft approaching fast from Jupiter's orbit. Paxton's posture changed immediately, tension visible even through the environmental suit. My ship, they discover I am missing, must have tracked shuttle. You're in trouble, Grace realized. What will they do to you? Discipline. Possibly worse. Breaking council directive is serious. Paxton looked back toward his shuttle, then at Grace again. I must go. Grace made a split-second decision. No. Come with us. We can hide you at the station until we figure this out. Paxton hesitated, clearly torn between duty and his desire to learn more about humans. Finally, he nodded. Yes, but quickly. As they rushed back to the rover, Grace knew her decision could have enormous consequences. She had just hidden an alien from its own people and violated what seemed to be a galactic agreement to avoid humanity. But she also knew that the universe had just become much bigger, much more complex, and potentially much more dangerous for the human race. And the answers they needed were locked in the mind of the green-skinned visitor, now sitting nervously beside her in the rover as they sped back toward the station. They ignored the ban on humans until one video shut them up. The Europa station buzzed with nervous energy as Grace and Sam rushed Paxton through the airlock. The other team members stared in shock at the green-skinned visitor. No one spoke for several seconds as they tried to process what they were seeing. This is Paxton Reeves, Grace finally said, breaking the silence. He's from a species called the Navari. Olivia Winters, the communications specialist, stepped forward with wide eyes. An actual alien. I can't believe it. Believe it, Sam said grimly. And according to our new friend here, there's a whole bunch of them up there who've been watching us for decades. Paxton stood awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable being the center of attention. His translator device hummed softly as he spoke. I apologize for secrecy. My visit breaks many rules. Well, you're here now, Grace said. She turned to the team. And we need to hide him. There's a ship looking for him, and I don't think they're coming to throw him a welcome party. Dr. Alan Foster, the station's medical officer, frowned. Hide an alien? Grace, we need to report this to Earth Command immediately. And tell them what exactly? Grace challenged. That aliens exist. They've been spying on us, and now we're hiding one. Think of the panic that would cause. Not to mention, Sam added, we have no idea what these aliens might do if they find out we're harboring their runaway. The team fell silent again, the weight of the situation sinking in. Finally, Olivia spoke up. The deep ice lab, she suggested. It's shielded for radiation experiments, might block whatever tracking they're using. Grace nodded. Good thinking. Let's move. Commander Eltrix watched the main view screen with growing anger as her ship approached Europa. The tracking signal from Paxton's shuttle was clear. It had landed on the moon's surface near a human outpost. This is beyond insubordination, she hissed to her security chief. This is a direct violation of council policy. The shuttle appears empty, reported a sensor officer. No life signs detected inside. Eltrix's anger turned to concern. Scan the human station. 24 life signs detected, the officer replied after a moment. 23 register as human. 1 is unclear. He's inside, Eltrix realized. He's made contact with them. The security chief stepped closer. Your orders, Commander? Eltrix considered her options. This was an unprecedented situation. No member of the Galactic Council had ever willingly revealed themselves to humans before. Prepare a landing team, she decided. We'll retrieve Junior Engineer Reeves and assess how much damage has been done. In the deep ice laboratory beneath Europa Station, Paxton sat at a table while Grace and her team asked questions. The others had gotten over their initial shock and now bombarded him with inquiries about his species, their technology, and the Galactic Council. How many alien species are there? Asked Alan, who had moved from skepticism to fascination. 27, in Council, Paxton answered. Few others that choose isolation. And they all agreed to avoid us? Grace asked. Paxton's large eyes blinked slowly. Yes, decision made long ago, before I was born. But why? Sam pressed. What are they so afraid of? Before Paxton could answer, alarms blared throughout the station. Olivia rushed to a computer terminal. We've got company, she reported tensely. A craft just landed 300 meters from the station. Definitely not one of ours. Paxton stood quickly. Navari retrieval team. They come for me. Grace made a quick decision. Olivia, activate the emergency protocols. Everyone else, act normal. If they ask, we've never seen Paxton before. And if they search the station? Alan asked. The deep ice lab doesn't appear on the official station schematics, but Grace reminded him. It was added after the main construction. Sam approached a storage locker and removed several objects that looked like guns. When Grace raised an eyebrow, he shrugged. Just in case talking doesn't work. Eltrix and 4 security officers approached the human station cautiously. They wore environmental suits similar to Paxton's but with added armor plating and more sophisticated weaponry. Remember, Eltrix instructed her team, humans are unpredictable but not technologically advanced. Our goal is to retrieve Reeves without incident. They reached the station's main airlock and Eltrix pressed a control on her wrist device. After a moment, the outer door slid open. Their security systems are primitive, she noted. Inside the station, they found a group of humans waiting for them. One female stepped forward, her face showing no fear, only controlled caution. I am Grace Miller, chief scientist of Europa Station, she said clearly. You are trespassing on a United Earth government facility. Eltrix's translator processed the words. I am Commander Eltrix of the Navari Science Fleet. We have tracked one of our crew members to this location. Grace's expression remained neutral. There's no one here but my team, as you can see. She gestured to the humans standing behind her. Our sensors detected a non-human life sign within your station, Eltrix countered. Junior Engineer Paxton Reeves has violated Council directive by making contact with your species. His actions are unauthorized and dangerous. Dangerous? To whom? Asked a male human standing next to Grace. His hand rested near what appeared to be a primitive weapon. To the established order, Eltrix replied coldly. Humans are not yet ready for galactic citizenship. Grace crossed her arms. So you've been watching us, judging us, without giving us a chance to speak for ourselves? That doesn't sound like advanced thinking to me. Eltrix bristled at the implied criticism. The Council's wisdom spans millennia. Your species is barely space-capable. Yet here you are inside our station, Grace pointed out. Seems like we're capable enough to have this conversation. Before Eltrix could respond, an alarm sounded from one of her security officers' devices. Commander, detected anomalous energy readings below our current position, the officer reported. Possible shielded area. Eltrix's eyes narrowed. You are hiding something. Step aside. Grace and her team didn't move. This is our home, she said firmly. You don't give orders here. The tension in the room became palpable as Navari security officers raised their weapons. The humans tensed, some reaching for their own primitive arms. Suddenly, a new voice cut through the standoff. Stop. Paxton appeared from a corridor, hands raised. No violence, please. Eltrix's eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in anger. Junior Engineer Reeves, you have violated the most sacred Council directive. Yes, Paxton admitted. But I learned truth, Commander. Humans are not what Council believes. You spent mere hours with them, Eltrix scoffed. The Council has observed them for generations. From distance, Paxton argued. Without understanding. Without seeing. Grace stepped forward again. If you've been watching us all this time, then you know we're not perfect. But we're trying. We explore, we learn, we grow. Isn't that what all intelligent species do? Eltrix hesitated, her certainty wavering slightly. Then she straightened her posture. This is not my decision to make. The Council must address this breach. She turned to Paxton. You will return with us and face judgment for your actions. They ignored the ban on humans, until one video shut them up. Paxton stood with his head bowed before Commander Eltrix. I will return with you, he said quietly. Then he turned to Grace. Thank you for showing me truth about humans. Grace stepped forward. Wait, you can't just take him. We have questions. Your people have been watching us for decades without our knowledge. We deserve answers. Eltrix regarded Grace with cold eyes. You deserve nothing. This incident will be reported to the Council. They will decide what happens next. And what about Paxton? Sam asked, his hand still close to his weapon. What will happen to him? He violated our most sacred directive, Eltrix replied. The punishment is severe. Grace looked at Paxton with concern. The alien had risked everything just to satisfy his curiosity about humans, and now he faced serious consequences. Before you go, Grace said, making a quick decision. At least let us share a meal together. One peaceful exchange before you leave. Surely the Council wouldn't object to basic hospitality. Eltrix hesitated. Hospitality rituals were respected across many galactic cultures. To refuse would be considered highly offensive in several Council species. 1 hour, she finally agreed. No more. Grace nodded to Olivia, who hurried toward the station's kitchen area. Then she turned to the Navari commander. Perhaps this could be an opportunity, she suggested. You've been studying us from afar. Now you can learn something about us firsthand. The Europa Station dining area was filled with an awkward tension as humans and Navari sat together at the same table. Olivia had prepared the best meal possible. With their limited supplies, and the Navari, after checking with their own scanners, cautiously tried the food. Your environmental requirements are surprisingly similar to ours, Dr. Allen noted, watching Paxton eat. Is that common among intelligent species? Not always, Paxton replied. Some Council members breathe methane, others live in high pressure. Makes shared spaces difficult. Tell us about the Council, Grace prompted. How long has it existed? Eltrix interrupted before Paxton could answer. This is not a cultural exchange mission. We are not authorized to share details of galactic civilization. Why not? Sam challenged. What are you afraid of? One of the Navari security officers made a sound that their translators didn't catch. Eltrix shot him a warning look. The Council has protocols for first contact, she said stiffly. Species must reach certain development levels before being approached. And how do we reach those levels if we don't even know they exist? Grace asked. That's the test, Paxton said quietly. Species must evolve naturally. The conversation might have continued, but suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Sam rushed to a control panel. We've got an emergency, he announced. Supply shuttle from Mars just entered Europa's orbit, but it's in trouble. Engine failure, it's coming in too fast. Grace was immediately on her feet. Projected landing point? Sam's face paled. Trajectory puts it directly over the station. Impact in 12 minutes. Can't you redirect it? Eltrix asked, standing as well. We're trying to establish communications now, Olivia said, fingers flying over her console. But if the pilot can't regain control... Evacuation protocol, Grace ordered. Everyone to emergency pods. Now. The station erupted into controlled chaos as the humans began shutdown procedures and gathered essential supplies. Eltrix and her team watched with growing concern. Our shuttle is faster than your escape pods, she said to Grace. We could evacuate. Your team. Grace looked surprised at the offer. Thank you, but we need to try something else first. That shuttle has one of our people on board. We can't abandon them. A crackling sound came from Olivia's console, then a strained voice. Europa. Station. This is Lieutenant Alex Rivera. Lost main engine, backup systems failing, can't control descent. Alex, this is Grace. We're tracking you. Try to adjust your angle by 3 degrees north. There's a flat ice field there. Can't controls. Not responding. Sam joined Olivia at the console. Current trajectory will bring it down right on top of our main habitat dome. The whole station will be destroyed. Eltrix turned to her security team. Prepare to depart, now. Paxton looked horrified. We can't leave them. This is not our concern, Eltrix said firmly. The humans will evacuate. No, Grace said, stress evident in her voice. There's not enough time to get everyone to the pods, and Alex is still up there. Sam suddenly straightened. Wait, I have an idea. He turned to Eltrix. Your ship has tractor beams, doesn't it? Technology to move objects remotely? Eltrix narrowed her eyes. How do you know this? Paxton mentioned it earlier. Sam lied smoothly. Could you use it to slow the shuttle? Our systems are not calibrated. For human craft, one of the Navari officers replied. It could tear your shuttle apart. Then we need another option, Grace said. Paxton stepped forward. The station's external maintenance drones. Could they be used to push the shuttle off course? Sam's eyes widened. That might work, but someone would need to go outside to manually override their programming. The emergency would confuse their automatic systems. I'll go, Grace volunteered. No, Sam countered. I'm the engineer. It should be me. Before anyone could argue. Further, Sam was already moving toward the airlock, grabbing an environmental suit on the way. Sam, wait, Grace called. It's too dangerous. But Sam was already sealing his helmet. 8 minutes until impact. No time to debate this. He looked at the Navari. You might want to get to your ship. If this doesn't work. He didn't finish the sentence. The airlock hissed as it cycled him outside. On the station's exterior, Sam worked frantically at a control panel, his fingers clumsy in the thick gloves of his environmental suit. Jupiter's massive form loomed behind him, a constant reminder of the tiny place humans occupied in the universe. Inside the station, Grace, Olivia, and the others watched his progress through camera feeds. The Navari remained, despite Eltrix's earlier order to evacuate. External drone systems coming online, Sam reported through his comm. Redirecting power. On another screen, they could see the supply shuttle, a small bright dot growing larger by the second. 5 minutes to impact, Olivia announced. I've got drone control, Sam said. Sending them up now. The camera showed several maintenance robots detaching from their docking stations and moving upward. Hurry, Sam, Grace urged. Almost there, he replied. Just need to wait, something's wrong. The drones aren't responding correctly. The robots on screen moved erratically, clearly malfunctioning. The shuttle's radiation is interfering with their guidance systems, Sam realized. I'll have to guide them manually. From out there? Grace asked, alarmed. Sam, get back inside. We'll evacuate. No time. Sam's voice was calm despite the situation. I can use my suit thrusters to get closer, guide them from there. On screen, they watched as Sam detached from the station and began moving toward the approaching shuttle, the maintenance drones following him. Paxton turned to Eltrix, his large eyes pleading. Help him. This is not our... Eltrix began. Look. Paxton pointed to the screen. Sam was positioning the drones in the shuttle's path, using his own body to guide them. He risks his life for others. This is what Council doesn't see about humans. They ignored the ban on humans. Until one video shut them up, Eltrix stared at the screen, watching as Sam positioned himself and the maintenance drones in the path of the falling shuttle. His actions made no logical sense to her. One life risked, for many could be calculated as reasonable, but the human wasn't guaranteed success. The probability of survival was minimal. 3 minutes to impact, Olivia announced, her voice tight with fear. Grace clutched the edge of the console. Sam, please be careful. Through the camera feed, they watched Sam maneuver the drones into formation. He used his suit thrusters to push them into position, creating a makeshift barrier between the plummeting shuttle and the station. I've got them aligned, Sam reported. Going to activate their emergency thrusters on my mark. One of the Navari security officers whispered something to Eltrix. She nodded slowly, then spoke to Grace. Our sensors show the combined force of your drones will not be sufficient to alter the shuttle's course enough. Grace's face paled. Sam, did you hear that? I heard, Sam replied, his voice remarkably steady. They're right. Need more power. There was a pause. Going to add my suit thrusters to the mix. No, Grace shouted. That's suicide. Got a better idea? Sam asked. 2 minutes left. No time for debate. On screen, they watched as Sam attached himself to the lead drone, linking their propulsion systems together. Paxton turned to Eltrix again. Please, your ship has tractor technology. Help them. Eltrix hesitated, centuries of council protocol warring with the scene unfolding before her. Finally, she activated her communicator. Prepare tractor systems, she ordered. Target the human. Shuttle. Commander, her security chief protested. This violates, I am aware. Eltrix cut him off. Do it anyway. Outside, Sam had finished connecting his suit to the drones. Ready to activate on my mark. 60 seconds to impact. Suddenly, a new voice came through the communication system. It was from the Navari ship. Tractor beam activating. Stand by, human. Sam looked up in surprise as a pale blue light shot from the Navari vessel toward the falling shuttle. The beam enveloped the shuttle, slowing its descent slightly. It's not enough, the Navari ship reported. Cannot fully stop it. Then we work together, Sam said. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Sam and the drones fired their thrusters, at full power while the Navari tractor beam pulled from above. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The shuttle continued its deadly plunge toward the station. Then, gradually, its path began to shift. Meter by meter, the combined force of human and alien technology pushed the shuttle off course. It's working, Olivia shouted. The shuttle moved, past the main dome of the station, its trajectory now aimed at the empty ice field beyond. But Sam was still in its path. Sam, get out of there, Grace yelled. Just a little more, Sam grunted, his thrusters straining at maximum output. The shuttle loomed larger on the screen, now just seconds from impact. At the last possible moment, Sam detached from the drones and fired his remaining thruster fuel to push himself clear. The shuttle crashed into the ice field with a tremendous impact that shook the entire station. Ice and debris flew in all directions. One large chunk struck Sam, sending him tumbling through space. Sam, Grace cried, watching helplessly as his form disappeared from the camera view. Eltrix turned to her team. Find him. 20 minutes later, Sam lay on a medical bed in the Europa Station infirmary. His suit had been damaged by the impact, but it had protected him from the worst of the vacuum exposure. Dr. Allen worked quickly to treat his injuries while Grace stood nearby. He'll live, Allen announced after examining him. Broken arm, some internal bruising, minor radiation exposure. Nothing we can't handle. Relief washed over Grace's face. She turned to Eltrix, who stood in the doorway with Paxton. Thank you, Grace said simply. Without your help, we'd all be dead. Eltrix nodded stiffly. Your engineer showed unexpected courage. Not unexpected for us, Grace replied. Humans help each other. It's who we are. Eltrix seemed to be struggling with some internal debate. Finally, she spoke. Paxton, you recorded all of this? Paxton nodded. Yes, Commander, from moment shuttle emergency began. Good. Eltrix straightened her posture. The Council should see this. 3 weeks later, in the Great Crystalline Chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from 27 species watched in silence as the recording played on the main projection. They saw the humans working desperately to save their station. They watched Sam risk his life to save not just his fellow humans, but also the Navari visitors. When the recording ended, Elder Kylxa of the Vasiri Collective spoke first. Commander Eltrix, you violated Council directive by revealing our existence to humans and by actively assisting them. Yes, Elder, Eltrix acknowledged. I accept responsibility for my actions. And Junior Engineer Paxton, Kylxa continued, you deliberately sought contact with humans against explicit Council policy. I did, Paxton admitted. I would do so again. Murmurs ran through the chamber at this bold statement. However, Kylix said, raising a hand for silence. The evidence you have presented is compelling. Ambassador Zorith stepped forward. One incident does not change centuries of observation. Humans remain volatile, unpredictable. Yes, Nara of the Navari agreed. They are unpredictable. They are also capable of great sacrifice, of putting others before themselves. She gestured to the now blank projection. We have watched humans for decades but never truly seen them. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued for maintaining isolation from Earth. Others suggested a gradual approach to contact. In the end, a compromise was reached. A small delegation would be sent to Earth, not for full diplomatic relations, but as observers. Open contact but limited in scope. 6 months later, a ship unlike any seen before descended through Earth's atmosphere. It landed on a prepared site outside the United Earth Government headquarters. Captain Lena Howard stood at the front of the reception committee, hardly believing the moment had finally arrived. After years of detecting strange signals and being unable to make contact, aliens were landing on Earth openly. The ship's door opened and a delegation emerged led by a blue-skinned elder, a green-skinned commander, and a younger green alien. Behind them came Grace Miller and Sam Peterson from Europa Station. Captain Howard, Grace said with a smile. Allow me to introduce Elder Kylixa of the Galactic Council, Commander Eltrix, and Junior Engineer Paxton Reeves. Elder Kylixa stepped forward. On behalf of the 27 species of the Galactic Council, I extend greetings to humanity. What changed your minds? Lena asked. After all this time avoiding us? Kylixa gestured to Sam. One human showed us what we had failed to see. Sometimes a single act of courage speaks louder than years of observation. Paxton smiled. They ignored the ban on humans until one video shut them up. As news spread across Earth that humans were not alone in the universe, people gathered around screens to watch the historic meeting. And in homes and public spaces everywhere, they also watched the video from Europa Station that had changed everything. The video of one human willing to sacrifice himself to save others, including aliens who had been hiding from humanity for generations. The universe had suddenly become much larger, and humanity had finally taken its first true step into a galactic community that had been there all along.